If you stay on the defensive, so you're only reacting to the enemy's legal ploys or inaccurate reporting, then you are losing. So I believe our response lies in our own judicial system. All of you, my fellow lawyers, well understand the hundreds of years of Western legal jurisprudence have developed an adversarial system of justice, where attorneys, zealously representing their clients, go to battle, so to speak, to investigate, discover the facts, to present the facts to a neutral arbitrator, a finder of fact, judge or jury. That's how we go and present our case. Now, in the terms of lawfare, we need to do the same. We must go to war as we go to court. Let me just summarize my whole comment in maybe it sounds like a cliche, but I want you to remember, fight fire with fire. Now, I'm not saying that we go and we use that in the negative sense. It can be used in the negative sense where you fight fire with fire, you can get burned, meaning we don't go fight like they do. We don't do Hama rules, a term coined by Thomas Friedman, where Assad went and killed 25,000 of his own people and leveled the city of Hama in Syria. That's not what we do. But we don't stop to their MO of targeting civilians, use of human shields, all the things we're going to talk about today. Now, what we do is what the former president of Israel Supreme Court, Aharon Barak, said that the fate of a democracy is that not all means are acceptable, and not all the methods used by our enemies are available. Often a democracy must fight with one arm tied behind its back, but fight we must. Let me give you the actual quick history of where this fire with fire came from and how that is truly steeped in our Western democratic and legal jurisprudence. It actually came from one of William Shakespeare's earliest plays. It's not repeated much. King John. It was written in 1595, and it tells the story of the ascension to the throne, or the stealing of the throne, according to some, by John, who was the younger brother of King Richard the Lionheart. And in this play, it goes on with intrigue, and Richard Lionheart was a great hero because he fought the Crusades. John was not such a good king. Raising taxes, military losses, dispute with the Vatican resulting in his excommunication, palace intrigue. Wasn't going very well for him in this play. And so near the end, as all his lords and all his supporters in England turn against him and actually start conspiring and aligning with his greatest enemy, Prince Philip of France, the following exchange occurs between him and his cousin, who is referred to in here as the bastard. So I don't want any YouTube moments here, just take this out of context, but King John, wondering why they're all against me, says, "Would not my lords return to me again after they heard young Arthur was alive?" The rumor was he'd killed him. And the bastard says, "They found him dead and cast him to the streets." So King John said, "Well, that villain Hubert told me he did live." And here's the great quote from Bastard. "So on my soul he did, for aught he knew. But wherefore do you droop? Why look sad? Be great in act, while everybody's conspiring against you, as you have been in thought. Let not the world see fear and sad distrust. Govern the motion as a kingly eye. Be stirring as the time. Be fire with fire. Threaten the threatener. Outface the brow of bragging horror. No shall inferior eyes that burrow their behaviors from the great. Grow great by your example. Put on the dauntless spirit of resolution. Show boldness and aspiring confidence." This is what we need today. This is what you were speaking about. What shall they seek? What shall they seek the lion in his den? And fright him there? And make him tremble? Oh, let it not be said. Here, my colleagues, is how we fight fire with fire. We let no allegation go unanswered. We demand a full, a fair, a just investigation. It's impartial investigators, not those who have already clearly established their hatred of Israel or the West. And if we can't do that, we do our own. We expose and decry every use of fact finders who are on record as anti-Israeli. When multiple investigations yield inconsistent facts, we honestly, we ethically, we do our best to assess the truth, as we do, through investigation and discovery methods. And if there remains a question of fact, we take it to a neutral arbitrator or to a neutral body. That is the people. And when those facts reveal an accident or a mistake on our part, we step up and we reveal it and we condemn it. And we move forward. But when our opponents try to manipulate the law to an unjust advantage, we cry foul. We zealously argue the correct interpretation and set forth a studied and a reasoned and a supported analysis of legal precedent. That's what we do. We do not concede the high ground. We don't allow our enemies to opt out, co-opt our national treasure of justice steeped in the rule of law. We can't do that. And we're not perfect. It is as old as America's apple pie. I mean, people could say, well, wait a minute. Your country started, I'll wrap up, thanks. Our country started with the rule of law that enslaved millions of our population. As an author, recently published a historical novel on Dred Scott called Am I Not a Man? I mean, for the Supreme Court Chief Justice to say in his ruling that the Constitution of the United States clearly made it legal to enslave a black man was clearly wrong. But it took a man, Abraham Lincoln, to step up, and he did so 150 years ago in this city last week in his Cooper Union address to argue the law to say that wasn't correct and start us back on the right path. So in closing, as I mentioned, you have to have the rest of the story. What came out of this King John? Shakespeare glossed over it. But what happened that day at Runnymede, when all those barons and lords came to him, he gave up. And they presented him with this charter, and they demanded that he sign it, and he put his kingly seal on that. A charter that is the foundation of all our constitutional systems, representing for the first time the tyrannical power of the monarchy was restrained by the rule of law, the Magna Carta. America, Israel, and the West, we hold dear the rule of law, and our enemies have met with some success of late in hijacking that. We cannot let that happen any longer. No longer. We can't hide. We will not fright. Today, undaunted by the hollow protestations, the calumnies, the defamations, with boldness, we take back our heritage, okay? Today. We take back our heritage of truth, fairness, the rule of law. And I'm confident that as we leave here today, and this great panel of people are going to educate us, that we'll walk out of here together with our heads held high, and we will go forth and outface the brow of those bragging whores.